started.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Living Healthy and Aging Well. My name is Ken Haglind, and we are broadcasting from the AM 950 radio station that overlooks beautiful Bryant Lake Regional Park located in Eden Prairie, Minnesota. It is another fabulous day here in the Twin Cities. Weather is amazing, and we are in the fall, and it's open enrollment time for Medicare, which is why we got a special guest here to talk about that. But it is gorgeous, and I am so grateful to be here with you today, and I hope all of you listening are doing well. We are on the air every Saturday from noon to 1 to talk about your health and your life. We cover a wide range of topics to help you and your loved ones improve and ultimately enjoy your quality of life. We have another great show for you today. Joining me in a few minutes will be Amanda Bigus. She is the Volunteer and Outreach Manager for Trellis Area Agency on Aging and the Senior LinkAge Line, a statewide service of the Minnesota Board on Aging in partnership with Trellis and the other area agencies on aging across the state of Minnesota. She is here today to discuss ways to access free, unbiased Medicare health insurance counseling, educational webinars on a variety of topics related to aging, and the importance of volunteers in this critical work. And of course, we are in the open enrollment period for Medicare, and so we're going to talk about that as well. Trellis is an innovator and thought leader in the field of aging and works to help people optimize well-being as they age. Perfect for our show here that talks about living healthy and aging well. So this will be a great show, folks. If you have questions, be sure and give Amanda a call here at the radio station, and you will enjoy listening to her today. I want to thank all of you that leave us messages on our radio show phone line. We appreciate hearing from you, and we welcome your comments, questions, and topics for future shows. Also, if you are interested in being a guest on our radio show, please call or text us at 612-999-3426. You can also contact us on our website at livinghealthyradio.com. There you can find information about upcoming guests as well as listen to our previous shows. We look forward to hearing from you. Also, we are adding new listeners to the show each week, and we're so grateful for that, not only here in the Twin Cities of Minnesota, but also throughout the country. You can find podcasts for all of our radio shows on the AM 950 radio website, and we can also be found on your favorite streaming services such as iTunes, Spotify, and many other podcast and streaming services. So you can also watch our broadcast live on the radio station's Facebook page at AM 950 Radio. If you have a question for us today, there are two ways to reach us. First, by calling the AM 950 radio station, and our friendly show engineer, Tom, will get your call on the air. Our phone number is 952-946-6205. Once again, 952-946-6205. Or you can directly text us your question at 612-999-3426. Now, don't worry. If you missed our contact numbers, I'll repeat them throughout the show. All right. I want to welcome my special guest for today's show. She's been here before, and people have asked, when is Amanda coming back? And it's been like almost 2 years, a year and a half. So anyway, it's great to have her back on the show. And just a reminder, Amanda is the Volunteer and Outreach Manager for Trellis Area Agency on Aging and the Senior LinkAge Line. So some of you may have heard of the Senior LinkAge Line, and maybe you do or don't know the Trellis Area Aging. So we're going to talk all about that today. But welcome to the show, Amanda.
Thank you.
Okay, so of course the audience loves to know about you, get a sense of your background. You know, who is this person that's going to educate and raise our awareness on the Senior LinkAge Line? So why don't we start out with your background? Tell us a little bit about Amanda.
Yeah, well, first of all, I'm really excited to be here today. I love talking about all ways that we can support aging in our community. So thank you for having me. I have worked in aging services for about 12 years now, and I graduated with a degree in communications and public relations, and never thought that I would be working in aging services, but I found myself doing community programs for assisted living and retirement facility, and while I was there, I really got to know a lot of the residents, and they completely blew my knowledge of aging out of the water. They were amazing individuals who, they learned new passions. I had a resident who was 94 years old, and he tried watercolor painting for the first time and was amazing at it, and got his paintings in an art gallery at 94 years old. So that kind of sparked my passion in the field of aging. And from there, I've worked in home care and at an adult day center, and really realized throughout all of those experiences that aging does not have a one-size-fits-all solution. It is very individualized for the person, right? And, also that, aging doesn't have to look like being sick and frail, as many people have thought that that's what aging is. You can have a really great quality of life, and if we as a community provide that support and the resources needed for folks as we age. So really that's what led me to Senior LinkAge Line and Trellis, because, there are so many different programs that support people in the community as they age. Yeah. So, it's just, there are so many resources out there, and a lot of times folks don't know where to go. So, being able to be here today to talk about where you can go to get those resources and how we can help is just a really great opportunity.
Yeah, isn't that? I want to touch on a couple of things you just said here. There is kind of a stereotype of aging.
Yeah.
And I tell you, we work with people of all ages in the field of hospice and end-of-life care, and it's amazing how many people in 90s and over 100 years old are living very active lives.
Yep.
And so I think it's important that people realize that it's up to you to a certain extent on how your attitude and what you do every day, how that affects your ability to be independent and be active and can be more mobile. And there's so many things now we're learning about aging. It really is a fascinating area of the human condition, is aging, and so I think that's going to be just important going forward, which is why it's so great to have you here on the show. And the other thing is, you mentioned about resources. One of the reasons we started this show 7 years ago was because we get calls all the time about, this has happened to my loved one, and what do I do? How do I deal with that? And it's really amazing, especially in Minnesota. We're very fortunate. We have so many resources that I think people it's almost overwhelming, but they're almost hiding in plain sight. I tell people, you call the Senior LinkAge Line. There's just, it's crazy how we have all this access to information online, and yet people don't know where to turn.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things is, when you're right in the middle of kind of trying to figure out what to do, it's very overwhelming. And, I think that's one of the things that Senior LinkAge Line tries to do too, is empower people to take their health and, their life into their own hands, right? We're here to say, here are all these resources. Here's how we can help kind of guide you. But ultimately, we want people to be empowered to live their best life,
Right. Right. Yeah. And it's interesting because I know we talk to a lot of adult children, and it's interesting how over the years I've seen perceptions and things change with how people view aging. And it's so interesting as the adult children age, they have a different appreciation and different respect and a different thought process for their parents that they're now helping make decisions. And I know we'll talk about Senior LinkAge Line, but it's not just for seniors calling in; it's their adult children can call in and help get resources. Because I'm amazed at how adept the seniors are with being online. They got their phones and they've got their pads and tablets, and they're connecting with people, friends, classmates from 50, 60, 70 years ago. So they're again the stereotype that you get old and you're not current is completely false.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think, there has been a lot over the past few years in terms of trying to change the way that we see aging in our society. I know there's kind of a national movement to reframe aging. There's age-friendly communities. And, so there is a lot that is going on to help change how we see that and how we support aging in our community. Because, that's the one thing we all have in common, right? We're all aging. So, we need to support with not just those health issues, right, like access to doctors and, transportation and that sort of thing. We need help with social connectedness, and, that the technology does a lot to kind of help with that. So, yeah, there is a lot that has been done and a lot that still needs to be done, and that's why we have a lot of great organizations in Minnesota working on how we see aging.
Yeah. We a while back we had the Minnesota Department of Demographics on the show, and it was so interesting that within the next few years we'll have, for the first time in human history, more people age 65 and older than we'll have age 18 and under. Yes. So you see how the bell curve has been shifting way to the right here in terms of how the population is, and it's that baby boom generation that's kind of working its way through, but it's going to be somewhat concerning how we're going to deal with that very proactive, engaged group of people as these baby boomers have been, and one of the shocking statistics I remember them sharing on the show was that within Minnesota, there's over 600,000 unpaid caregivers helping take care of our elderly or our disabled, and again, that's in addition to all the paid or the private services that are available. So it's going to be they kind of term the word crisis. We're kind of in this slow kind of train wreck of a crisis for the aging population. So it's going to be so important that people know of resources like you guys and how they can start to think through, wait, what do we got to do here? Because it's amazing how we get calls, grandma or mom or dad fell, broke their hip, went to the hospital thinking, get surgery, and they find out that the heart can't take the surgery, or there's some other issue that prevents them, and all of a sudden they can't go back home. Now, and all of a sudden home is not a part of their future. It's a different location. So it's interesting how life will, take those detours that we think they're going to do. So
Yep, absolutely. And we'll talk more about Senior LinkAge Line too, but that's sometimes people don't even know a question that they have, but they're in a situation where they're having to be kind of reactive to something that happened, and
that's right.
Yeah,
it's always
have to
reactive.
Give us a call. Yep.
No, that's why this is so important to show.
Yeah.
All right, the music is cueing us out, Amanda. It's time for a short break. We'll be right back to continue our conversation with Amanda Bigus. She is the Volunteer and Outreach Manager for Trellis Area Agency on Aging and the Senior LinkAge Line. And we're talking about ways to access free, unbiased Medicare health insurance counseling today, as well as many other resources. So stay with us, folks. If you have a question, please give us a call, 952-946-6205. Or text us at 612-999-3426. I'm Ken Haglind, and you are listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well.
I'm Rachel Schroman, owner of Schroman Law, and I believe you deserve information. Our firm offers free quarterly estate planning seminars at our office in St. Paul. At these seminars, you can learn the basics of estate planning from an attorney to help you determine which estate planning documents will meet your needs and goals in an efficient and cost-effective manner. You can learn more and register at our website, schromenlaw.com/events. That's SCHROMEN law.com/events.
Overwhelmed trying to make sense of Medicare? As a licensed advisor, I can help you determine your healthcare needs and evaluate your options. I'm Harvey Pearl of Pearl & Company, and I want you to have the peace of mind knowing you have the best coverage available. You deserve an advocate you can trust and coverage you can rely on. And there's no fee, ever. Annual enrollment is October 15th through December 7th. Find me at pearlsofwisdom.com. That's P-E-R-L-E-S of wisdom.com. So we can strategize together.
Tuesday, join AM 950 for live election night coverage from 7 until 11 p.m. Your voice in action. Matt McNeil kicks things off from 7 until 9 with early results and interviews, followed by Bruce Klopfleisch and me with updates as results roll in. Greg Bakken will be in our Election Central studio with real-time updates all night. Catch us on the radio airwaves or watch the live stream on Facebook and YouTube. In fact, put our Facebook or YouTube feed on your own TV instead of one of those national cable networks. So tune in. That's your voice in action with AM 950 on election night.
Hi, Jim of Better Futures Minnesota here. Does your business or organization need janitorial services, lawn care, or snow removal? Obtain a free, no-obligation estimate from Better Futures Minnesota when you let us know that you heard about us on AM 950. Our supervised, hard-working, and affordable crews will handle your interior and exterior building and property maintenance needs while you help men in the community transform their lives and walk on a positive path to success. It's a win-win. To learn more, go to betterfuturesminnesota.com under Business Services.
Hey, it's Patrick. We're headed full speed ahead into the holiday season, so the biggest question facing your home is going to be, is it ready for the holiday season? And if you look around at your carpet, tile, rugs, upholstery, and the answer is no, you need to call My Cleaning Heroes at Zero Res. Some people hire a deal of the day carpet cleaner to save a little money, but trust shouldn't come that way. Think about it. There is no licensing required to be a professional carpet cleaner. Don't DIY it. Call Zero Res because you know it's safe and effective. The Zero Res Gotta Love It guarantee makes it easy to get what you pay for. Zero Res absolutely stands behind every cleaning, so go ahead and get clean and don't miss this deal. Get back to clean and get 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at just $129 and take $75 off an air duct cleaning. Call my friends at Zero Res right now at 952-ZERO-RES or go online to ZeroResMinnesota.com and say you want the AM 950 special. Backward or forward spells the same. Zero Res.
All right, welcome back, everyone. You are listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well, where we talk about helping you and your loved ones improve and enjoy your quality of life. My name is Ken Haglind, and joining me today is Amanda Bigus. She is Volunteer and Outreach Manager for Trellis Area Agency on Aging. That's a mouthful. And the Senior LinkAge Line, which is easy to say. It's a statewide service of the Minnesota Board on Aging in partnership with Trellis and the other area agencies on aging across the state. And we're going to talk more about that here so I can make sure that nobody is confused about this amazing resource that we have in the state of Minnesota. And anyway, Trellis is an innovator and thought leader in the field of aging and works to help people optimize well-being as they age. That could be a tagline for my show. To optimize well-being as they age. I love that. I love that. If you have a question for us, folks, please give us a call, 952-946-6205, or you can text us your question at 612-999-3426. Hey, Amanda, how can our listeners contact your organization if they have questions or want more information after the show has ended?
Yeah, so I think the best way to contact us, if you have a question, is call the Senior LinkAge Line, which is 800-333-2433. We are available Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. You could also visit the Trellis website. There are many resources and information about our programs and services on that website. So that would be Trellis Connects, CONNECTS.org, TrellisConnects.org.
And we'll reference the website throughout the show. So please, what a great website. Lots of resources. You guys have really spent a lot of time and effort to make this so resource rich. And so I really encourage people to get on there, and there's just a ton of things to look at. Let's get back. I am always so curious, what ultimately inspires somebody to take the course of their life journey. And many times life's journey just takes us on a course. It's not so much us thinking it through. In fact, I've had just such a large amount of people over the years to come on the show, and they have taken a 180-degree turn midlife. And it's so interesting how they just find their passion, and they find what inspires them, and they find just where they know they need to be. And it's so interesting to see that, how that's been prevalent with so many of my guests. Now, it sounds like you have kind of had a track right from the beginning of your career.
Yeah.
And the love of helping the aging, which is the more you get connected with aging, the more you just appreciate that whole demographic and that population.
Yeah, well, my plan, was to do event planning. That's what I thought I wanted to do, and I did start out my career at the March of Dimes, and I did fundraising events, large-scale fundraising events, and I've also done smaller event planning, and that's when, I found myself at retirement and assisted living, and I always kind of credit the spark of my passion to a specific resident. Her name was Amy, and when I met her, she was 102.
Oh.
And she was in a wheelchair. She was blind, so she couldn't see, but every morning she would get up and she would play the piano just from memory. She just had amazing muscle memory in her fingers where she would just play piano for all of the other residents. And she shared a lot of stories with me, and I lived in Oregon at the time, and she was from Minnesota, where I was also from Minnesota, and we kind of had this connection. And she died when she was 104. She lived to 104, and, there was just something that kind of sparked my passion of, what, you can do anything no matter what age you are. And it just kind of sparked this passion of, what, I need to work in the field of aging to figure out how we can make sure everybody else has that opportunity like Amy did.
Yeah. No, that's what a great story. Yeah, to find people that are really making a difference in other people's lives at 102 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, it's never too late, right?
Nope, it is not. I always say it's never too late to find a new passion or do something you once loved or, learn something new. You're never too old.
Yeah, no. And it's important to have the encouragement of people around. I mean, I'm sure you helped encourage her, just the connection, like from Minnesota, or just the things that we have in common with each other. It's easy. It's interesting when you find out the things we have in common and how that really kind of connects and binds people to each other. Well, that's okay. You're a fascinating person. You've done great work, and here you are now at Trellis. And I do want to talk about Trellis because it's there's you guys changed your name previously, right? I mean, there was some changes there. So some of the people may not recognize or realize that there has been a name change. Maybe we talk a little bit about, how Trellis relates to the Senior LinkAge Line. Because I think a lot of people have heard of Senior LinkAge Line. Because now we tell people all the time it's a great resource to start out with.
Yes.
So how does Trellis and Senior LinkAge Line go together?
Yeah, that is a question I get all the time. So we're Metropolitan Area Agency on Aging, which is even more of a mouthful than Trellis Area Agency on Aging. But some people knew us as MAAA, but we changed our name. Yeah, we changed our name. Oh, gosh, I think it's been 3 years now.
Was it right at the end of the pandemic
area? I believe
area?
so, yes.
Yeah.
It might have been 2021 that we changed our name to Trellis. Yeah, so we changed our name to Trellis to kind of reflect some growth over the past. We've been an area agency on aging for, over 20 years, and we are a nonprofit, so we serve older adults, caregivers, professionals. Basically, we are offering information, assistance, education, services, through a variety of programs. And how I often explain the relationship of Trellis to Senior LinkAge Line is, Trellis is kind of the umbrella organization. Under Trellis, we have a lot of different programs and services, and Senior LinkAge Line is one of those programs. And we partner with the Minnesota Board on Aging to be able to provide this statewide service. Under Trellis, though, there are a lot of different programs, and I can briefly touch on those before we get a little bit more into Senior LinkAge Line.
Yeah.
So we do administer Older American Act dollars. So we're kind of the middleman. We receive these funds from the Older American Act, and we give them to community organizations that serve older adults.
Is that a federally funded program then?
Is.
So it's across the country, or do you guys have to apply for that?
Yeah, so it is. We receive that through federal funds.
Okay.
So it is. Older Americans Act is national, so it's all across the country. But in Minnesota, we are the agency that receives those funds. So we're kind of tasked with the responsibility then to administer those funds to different community organizations.
At a state level.
At a state level, yes. And so other organizations apply for this funding. So we go through a pretty competitive RFP process where, organizations are applying, and, we have individuals who come in and volunteer their time to kind of go through these proposals to kind of decide who really needs the funding the most. How are we going to best support older adults in our community? So, then we'll give them to organizations who are providing chore services like housekeeping or lawn care or snow removal.
To help keep people in their home longer.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep. To help people be safe and independent in their homes, like transportation services or organizations that provide meals to older adults or caregivers. Last year, in 2023, we distributed $13.2 million, and we funded over 40 organizations in the community. So it is, it's a large support in the community.
Is that throughout the state, or is that just in the Twin Cities area?
These are all metro, in the 7-county metro area.
Because there's different area agings, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct, yes. So we support organizations in the metro area.
Okay, got it. Okay.
And we do try to make sure that, we are serving organizations that serve underserved populations, that, are serving communities of color, areas of low income, the rural areas of the Twin Cities. So we do really try with the people that we bring in to review these proposals to really fund the organizations that need this.
Okay.
So that's one of the programs within Trellis. We also support a pensions and retirement rights program. This helps retirees reclaim lost pensions. Our staff and volunteers, we have volunteer attorneys who work with us. We also have staff attorneys who work with us. We've helped over 2,000 people recover more than $9 million in lost pension. And it's interesting because, we work with a lot of individuals, and I like to give an example, of kind of how we help. For example, we had an 80-year-old widow who she was facing pension overpayment, that she was going to have to pay back all of this money. And she was a surviving spouse of a pension beneficiary, yes. And she was living on a fixed income, and she reported the death of her husband in a timely manner, and she did everything she was supposed to do, and she was still receiving the full amount that she would have if her husband had been alive.
Versus the survivor amount. Yeah.
Yes, and so what happened was she continued to receive these payments, and it resulted in an overpayment of $80,000 over many years.
Yeah.
But, she was looking at having to pay all of this back. And so she worked with our attorneys, and they were able to negotiate it down to $35,000. So she saved her $45,000 basically in having to pay that back. So that's just kind of one example of things that our attorneys can do.
And did that cost her anything for the services that your agency provided?
Nope,
Oh, wow.
nope. There was no cost to her.
Wow.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, and then we also have this. It might be familiar to some folks. We have a Juniper program that provides evidence-based health education and wellness classes. This is a statewide service, so it's a social care network that provides a bridge to the gap between healthcare and social care. The goal really is to improve well-being between adults who have high-cost, high-need health conditions and, the need for social connectedness or chronic pain management classes, exercise classes, things like that. Juniper provides those. In Juniper, we provide low-cost or free health classes, so people can sign up for those in the community, or they can sign up for virtual classes. We found that both are successful and popular. There's an example of an individual who she was taking a Juniper class, and it was the Tai Chi class, I believe. And she said it not only kind of helped strengthen and, improve her balance, but it also, she said she was the most socially active she had been in the past 20 years because she was continuing to, attend this class every week. She made connections. She made, built relationships. And then she ended up, going to the farmer's market and out to restaurants with people she met at the class. So she kind of, contributes that the gain of a friendship to the Juniper class. So it's just a way to really improve your health overall, not just the medical, that stuff is important, right? The access to important health benefits, but also the benefits that come from being together, and having a similar goal in a class. So,
well, it's great to have you guys have a focus on health because falls are one of the biggest events that happen with our elderly population.
Yeah.
And as you talked about the Tai Chi and the balance and things, it's I think sometimes people just forget it's just an incremental process. The frog slowly boils in the beaker, and we forget that we need to use our muscles, we need to stretch, we need to do things to help our mind and body connect.
Yep.
Because those falls we see that all the time. It's a consistent issue with our patients or people coming onto hospice is that it's a result of a fall. So anything we can do to help people not fall is really important.
Yes, and Juniper does have a fall prevention class as well.
Okay.
And it's interesting because many people think that falls are just a normal part of aging, but they're not.
No, that's right.
You can do a lot to prevent falls. So, yes, Juniper is very, they do a lot in kind of preventative education and skills to be able to set your home up so that, you can prevent a fall or improve your balance. And it is very important.
Yeah, just the awareness of things that can contribute to a fall. It's amazing how you're so used to living in your home for your whole life, and you just take for granted these things, slippery rugs and extension cords and all this kind of stuff that can be, to the trained eye, you go right away, we got to stop that.
Right.
So, I mean, it's helpful to make sure people have that awareness. What do I look for to help prevent falls? All right, well, we got the music cueing us out here, Amanda. It's time for a short break, everyone. We'll be right back to continue our conversation with Amanda Bigus. She is the Volunteer and Outreach Manager for Trellis Area Agency on Aging and the Senior LinkAge Line. And we're going to talk more about the services of the Senior LinkAge Line when we get back from our commercial break. If you have a question for us, please give us a call, 952-946-6205, or you can text us your question at 612-999-3426. I'm Ken Haglind, and you are listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well.
Overwhelmed trying to make sense of Medicare? As a licensed advisor, I can help you determine your healthcare needs and evaluate your options. I'm Harvey Pearl of Pearl & Company, and I want you to have the peace of mind knowing you have the best coverage available. You deserve an advocate you can trust and coverage you can rely on. And there's no fee, ever. Annual enrollment is October 15th through December 7th. Call me now at 651-303-8889 so we can strategize together.
Eat Local Minnesota is a great way to find locally owned Minnesota restaurants and food purveyors. You'll find high-quality food and unique eating experiences with dishes from around the world. Just visit eatlocalminnesota.com for your next meal. Crooner Supper Club invites you to Maggie's Lounge, an exciting new bar lounge. It's open Wednesdays through Sundays beginning at 4:30 for cocktails and light fare. And you don't need a ticket to enjoy the great atmosphere of Maggie's. So stop by Crooner Supper Club off Moore Lake and Highway 65 for dinner, drinks, and live music from both big-name local and national artists. Cafe Latte combines a cafe dining experience with gourmet quality food. Plus, you can still do online ordering and takeout along with gift cards. Just go to cafelatte.com and choose from their ever-changing selection of award-winning salads, sandwiches, and soups. Cafe Latte is located off Victoria and Grand and online at cafelatte.com.
Hey, this is Ellie Krug with Ellie 2.0 Radio. Did you know that we've been doing this show for 6 years on AM 950? And it's one of the only, I think it may be the only show about idealism in all of Radioland. And now the show's at 4 o'clock on Saturdays and still from 1 to 2 on Sundays. It'll be part of a new concept, a series of LGBTQ hosted shows and podcasts. Make sure to check it out.
Hi, I'm Mary T., inviting you to experience our integrative Mary T. Health and Wellness Center, offering physical, occupational, speech, and lymphedema therapies. Experience our guided imagery, meditation, Tibetan medicine, dry needling, massage services, including cupping and oncology massage. Sign up for our free wellness screenings and learn more at marytwellness.com. All major health insurance providers are accepted. Come for therapy, experience wellness.
Hi, I'm Philip Anthony, host of the Downright Upright Show, airing right here on AM 950 Radio, Saturdays at 5 p.m. Join me as I dive into captivating conversations with people from all walks of life. As a proud member of the LGBTQ community, I celebrate diversity and beyond with unique stories that make us fantabulous. Please join me every Saturday at 5 p.m. or wherever you listen to podcasts.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Tom Weston. Today is a sunny day with a high of 57. This afternoon, some rain and then a low of 46. And for Sunday, rainy, high 51. Join AM 950 for live election night coverage on Tuesday, November 5th from 7 until 11. AM 950, one of the few local media outlets providing in-depth coverage of Minnesota's key races and the state legislature. National coverage from Democracy Now! Will also be included.
AM 950 KTN up, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Welcome back, everyone. You are listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well, where we talk about helping you and your loved ones improve and enjoy your quality of life. My name is Ken Haglind, and joining me today in the main studio at AM 950 is Amanda Bigus. She is the volunteer and outreach manager for Trellis Area Agency on Aging and the Senior LinkAge Line. And this is a statewide service of the Minnesota Board on Aging in partnership with Trellis and the other area agencies on aging across the state. And we're going to talk about the Senior LinkAge Line here and how to get access to unbiased Medicare health insurance counseling in this segment. So if you have a question for us, please give us a call. Before we return to our conversation, I want to mention this radio show is brought to you in part each week by the team at Minnesota Hospice. Minnesota Hospice is an independent, locally owned medical practice serving our Twin Cities communities with comprehensive end-of-life health care. The team at Minnesota Hospice provides patients and family members with award-winning end-of-life healthcare services. You may not be aware that hospice brings compassionate medical, social, emotional, and spiritual services right to your home with typically no cost to you or your family. Please do not wait to learn how hospice care can benefit you and your loved ones. If you have any questions regarding end-of-life care or support, please contact the compassionate team of experts at Minnesota Hospice. They have nurses available to answer your questions 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Their phone number is 952-898-1022. Once again, 952-898-1022, or simply visit them online at minnesotahospice.com. All right, let's return to our conversation with Amanda. If you have a question for us, give us a call, 952-946-6205, or text us at 612-999-3426. Amanda, how can our listeners contact your organization if they have questions or want more information?
Yeah, you can call the Senior LinkAge Line. So that number, 800-333-2433, available Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Or you can visit our Trellis website, www.trellisconnects.org.
All right. Great website. A lot of wonderful information on there. So please, I encourage you to check out that website. All right. Let's talk about the great services that Trellis offers. And I guess at the top of the list is a Senior LinkAge Line. That's kind of a lifeline for people.
It sure is, yes. And, Senior LinkAge Line is the program under Trellis that I work most with. I am a volunteer and outreach manager for the Senior LinkAge Line team that helps spread awareness for this wonderful program, and also, provides volunteers for a lot of the different programs and services that we provide. So really excited to talk about this service. Like you said, we are a free statewide service of the Minnesota Board on Aging in partnership with Trellis. So under the umbrella of Trellis, I talked about all those other programs. Senior LinkAge Line is also one of those programs. We help older Minnesotans as well as their family members and professionals and caregivers. We help them find answers and connect to services and support they need. So we don't provide the services. We're kind of that middleman where we help you figure out what you need, and we are going to connect you with those resources. We are free. We're funded through state and federal dollars, and we are unbiased. I think that's such an important piece of this, because when you call Senior LinkAge Line, we're not going to make a decision for you, which I know sometimes people want. They say, just tell me what to do. But what we're going to do is we're going to work with your situation. We're going to ask some questions. We're going to go, based on your zip code, and we're going to find some options that are going to work best for you. And we're going to help you kind of figure out, okay, what is going to be the best thing for you? And then ultimately, we want you to make that choice of what's going to be best. And, that could be transportation. You need transportation to the doctor or to run errands. It could be there it is. Questions about Medicare, or, how to sign up for Medicare, or, how to compare plans for Medicare. It could be family members calling on behalf of a loved one, looking for caregiver services or housing options. So there's a lot of different things that people call the Senior LinkAge Line for. It's kind of a one-stop shop for all things aging. Sometimes people don't even know a question that they have, but they'll call us just for that support, for somebody to talk to, somewhere to go. And I think, a really big thing on people's mind right now is Medicare, because we are in the Medicare Open Enrollment Period. So October 15th through December 7th, folks have the opportunity to make changes on their Medicare plan. And this is a really great time for everybody to just review their Medicare plan. So anything that comes in the mail from your plan, you want to make sure to review that information very carefully, because during this time, people... there can be changes in their plan. So plans can change premiums, deductibles, covered prescriptions, covered benefits, things like that. So you want to make sure that everything is still working well for your plan. Even if you think, well, my plan is working well for me, I don't want to make any changes, still review anything that comes in the mail from your plan, because chances are something might change.
Well, and your health can change.
Your health can change, right? A lot can happen in a year. So if your needs are different, then you have the opportunity now to take a look at different plans and see if something might work better. During this time, we really recommend people kind of do some plan comparison. Try to figure out, is there something that might cover my needs, or a lower premium, or I can get, my prescription drugs, at a lower rate. So we really recommend people do some shopping around during this time.
And also to make sure that your favorite doctor is still in your plan.
Yes. Providers can leave networks, and, you want to make sure that, everything is still really working well for you. We know that Medicare is very confusing to a lot of people. It is a very complex topic, and, sometimes you may not know what you're looking at. And that's where Senior LinkAge Line really can help. Now, you can call Senior LinkAge Line during Medicare open enrollment. I do like to let people know that a lot of people call during open enrollment. Mm-hmm. So there is a chance that you will be on hold when you call Senior LinkAge Line. And, if that's the case, hang in there. We will get to you. But there is another way to get Medicare help during open enrollment from the Senior LinkAge Line. So we do provide free, unbiased 1-hour Medicare counseling appointments at 37 different community sites in the Twin Cities metro area. These are with trained volunteers who can go through your Medicare plan with you to kind of talk about any changes that have happened for the next year. They can do some plan comparisons with you. They can help you kind of narrow it down to a few different plans, and then help you make an informed choice. So another really great way to get Medicare help from the Senior LinkAge Line.
So also, because Medicare makes it very complicated, and there's many plans, right? I mean, over 100 different options.
Yes.
Whatever the number is, like last year was 156 or something.
Yes.
But there's also changes that occur every year going into like next year, 2025.
Yes.
There's changes. Are there any things you want to highlight on the changes for next year, or things that people should be considering or be aware of? Like you say, open the mail, be engaged with your plan. This is one of the most important decisions you make as a senior, because when you were working, the company made the decisions for you, and now it's up to you to make your decisions.
Yeah, there are some changes coming up in 2025 that people should be aware of. So there are changes that are associated with the Inflation Reduction Act. So this went into effect a couple years ago, and there's been some kind of gradual changes over the last few years in terms of prescription drug plans. And this year, they're starting January 2025. There will be a new maximum $2,000 cap on prescription drugs, which before it was $8,000. So this is, I think, a huge difference and will help folks save money on their prescription drugs. There's also a new payment plan option to make paying for prescriptions more manageable. So this is going to be helpful for people who have those really high-cost drugs. Instead of having to pay all at once, they can be part of this payment plan. And this is something that you don't have to qualify for. Everybody can take advantage of this new payment plan for prescription drugs.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. We only have a couple minutes left here. Let's talk about volunteers.
Yeah.
How important they are, how great they are. We'll have to get a volunteer and your volunteer coordinator on the show here in the future, but maybe if people are interested in being a volunteer and helping support other people.
Yes, our volunteers are so essential to the work that we do at the Senior LinkAge Line. We have about 71 volunteers right now who do this work, and they do a variety of different things. We have some volunteers who just are really knowledgeable about Medicare, and they love to volunteer their time to talk about Medicare, which, I think it takes a special kind of person to spend your time talking about Medicare. But they really like to help people simplify Medicare and understand the different plans and really help people choose plans that are going to work well for them. So those are our Medicare counselors who do those appointments across the metro area. We also have volunteers who will answer the phones on the Senior LinkAge Line. So along with our paid staff who answer phones, we have volunteers who will come in and they'll take calls and they'll answer questions, whether it's a housing question or a Medicare question. We do have volunteers who also give presentations for us. So as part of the Senior LinkAge Line, we provide educational presentations on things such as Medicare, healthcare fraud, how the Senior LinkAge Line can help. Yes, and I could talk a whole nother hour about healthcare fraud, but we have volunteers who are really helping to educate and make people aware of what type of scams are out there. And we have volunteers who, they have no interest in Medicare, but they still want to come help, do administrative tasks at the office or go to an event and help spread the word of Senior LinkAge Line and, give out materials or, help direct people where to go. So, we also have volunteers who kind of are ambassadors for the Senior LinkAge Line, where they are bringing this information to their community. Might be somebody who speaks a different language and they can translate materials for, people at specific organizations who, they might not have heard of Senior LinkAge Line, and they're able to provide that language translation for them. So really important work that our volunteers are doing.
Now, is there training for volunteers? So if people are interested, are they maybe a little bit concerned, well, I don't know much, but I want to contribute my time?
Yes.
Do you guys train them?
Yes, we do. Yes. So depending on the volunteer position, we will provide a certain amount of training. Our Medicare counselors go through, I think it's about a 3-month training. And it's same with our phone volunteers too. Lots of training that goes into this, and happy to provide it to those who are interested.
All right. Okay, so if people are interested, how do they get a hold of you guys?
Yeah, so they can call us, Senior LinkAge Line, 800-333-2433. Also on our website, trellisconnects.org, there is a volunteer tab where you can learn more about being a volunteer and sign up to be a volunteer.
All right, we're at the end of the show. I want to thank Amanda Bigus, Volunteer and Outreach Manager for Trellis Area Agency on Aging and the Senior LinkAge Line, a statewide service of the Minnesota Board on Aging in partnership with Trellis and other area agencies on aging across the state. We hope you enjoyed today's show. Join us again next Saturday at noon for another broadcast, and thank you for listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well, where we talk about your health and your life. Until next time, choose to live well.